The image here is the first known photograph of a UFO, captured by Jason Lawrence, a Philadelphian between 1900 and 1905 in Jenkintown, Pennsylvania, 10 miles north of Philadelphia, at the Talbot's estate. The following is an extract from Mr. Lawrence's diary kindly provided by his granddaughter, Mrs. Jessica Hardy from Philadelphia. In his diary he writes, "I have been looking how to organize the photograph for Mr. and Mrs. Talbot's estate in Jenkintown. I have been mostly doing family portraits in Philadelphia for the last few years, and it is the precise occasion on which I had met Mr. and Mrs. Talbot. I had a family portrait organized for them at my studio, when Mrs. Talbot asked if I could come by their estate and make a number of photographs of the house and the surrounding lands. I accepted the invitation and arrived at the estate the following week. I have spent the early morning looking for pleasing compositions, so that I could place the equipment at the right place as soon as the sun would rise. It was a rather misty morning, and as I placed the dry plate into my Falmer Graflex, although I had with me a Kodak, I still wanted to use the Graflex, as it offered a sense of stability from a compositional perspective, and thus I thought it would be a wiser choice. As checking on the composition, a feeling of pressure was accumulating and surrounding my chest. As I lifted my head away from the Graflex, I saw a large, round, and dark sphere above the Talbot's house. I remember I had difficulty to breathe. It looked to me as if the moon turned dark and was staring at me. I have no idea how long I stared at the thing, but unconsciously I moved under the camera and performed an exposure. A few moments later the thing disappeared as suddenly as it appeared. I have not shared my experience with anyone except Mr. Sanders at the Philadelphia Inquirer, as he was a dear friend of mine and I could rely on his discretion. After a lengthy discussion with Mr. Sanders, and on his advice, I have kept the matter to myself, as he perhaps was right in arguing that disclosing this strange matter to the public would most probably hurt my photographic business, and I could possibly lose my studio in the process. It would most probably be seen as a satanic encounter of some sort, even though I tried not to think about the strange and to me quite frightening experience. From time to time I resort to my studio and look at the plate, sometimes for hours at a time, as time seems somehow relevant when looking at the photographic plate. I must say that I did not show the Talbots' photographic plate, nor did I tell them about an encounter that I had on that day at their estate. Looking and thinking about it today, 20 years later, I think it was the right decision. I have been asking myself repeatedly about the origins of the strange object, if it was some kind of a spiritual message. I don't think I would ever know. Mr. Jason Lawrence went on to live a long and productive life. His photographic studio was well known throughout the state. He died in his sleep on August 22, 1942. He was 92 years old.